Hey, it's Topher the Paranormal Hobo, and this is the Hobo Script, where we talk movies, horror, indie stuff, you name it. We try to talk about it. We're going to be talking with Thomas Peake today about how his movies, what he's got into, and how he got into this. So here we go. Hey, Thomas, what's happening?
What's up, Topher? It's good seeing you.
Good seeing you. So let's introduce yourself to the people who may not know who Thomas Peake is.
Alrighty, so my name's Thomas Peake. I'm an independent filmmaker from Muncie, Indiana. I'm a film lover, obviously. That's the reason I got into filmmaking. I'm in the radio business by day, and I say I'm a movie maker by night. So that's nice. A bit of a rundown.
So you got the professional side of what I do. It's like during the day, I run an internet-based radio station.
Okay.
And then make movies. Well, I write all day, but you know,
that's cool. I write all day at work, and it's funny how much we have in common with that.
So like, what got you interested in making movies? Like,
so as a kid, just sitting in front of the TV, watching programming and sliding in that VHS tape, just thinking, how cool would it be to have that as a career someday? Make your own movies, to be in a field where you can be that creative. And as a kid, I wanted to be a cartoonist. That was my dream. And then as I got older, I was like, you know what? You can go to college to be a filmmaker. So I went to college for a year, and I was like, you know what? Just like Quentin Tarantino said, you don't need to go to film school to be a filmmaker. Just watch the movies, create yourself, and bring that passion to life just from the love of watching movies. So,
oh yeah, being a cinephile allows you the ability to be like, and I've made this. I'll make certain comments on set, like especially with the DP, whoever's the DP I'm working with is like, okay, I kind of want this shot that I seen in another movie, like in this movie, yada yada yada. You know, try to describe the shot. It's like, okay, well, like with this scene, I want it kind of a Scorsese shot, or I want it like it to do this thing and then float over here and come in like you see in this movie, or you know. I've caught myself doing that quite a bit, and I should probably learn like the technical names for those shots, but 9 times out of 10 it's more like, you see this episode of X-Files? That's how I want it shot.
That's the beauty of being a director. We may not know the technical terms, but as long as you can describe it and you can capture it on screen, job well done.
What is, you know, you said you liked movies, you like doing all of this stuff. What is your inspiration for, like, what inspiration are you bringing in while you're making the movies?
I think it depends on which movie I'm making. For example, my first film, Experiment 53, the huge inspiration was Rob Zombie mashed with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. When I wrote that film, it was in high school, and I was huge into Rob Zombie, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's always inspired me. It's kind of that guerrilla filmmaking, that raw, in-your-face grit. So when I was writing it, I was like, I'm going to step in the director's chair, the writer's chair, and I'm going to create something that Rob Zombie would be proud of, Tobe Hooper would be proud of. So it depends on which movie I'm working on. We'll talk about a new movie I'm working on and its inspiration coming up, but it depends.
Is there anything that, like, can you name one? Okay, sometimes it's going to be hard to do one. So can you name a couple of the movies? You said you're talking about like Rob Zombie and Texas Chainsaw. Is there any movie that literally grabs you and says, like that you want to do something similar, like outside of those two? Like, there's because I can say like The Thing. I'm John Carpenter's The Thing. I really love the way he did stuff there. That inspired me to do some of this stuff. Like, is there any specific movies that
So
drove you?
I'm gonna give two examples for this one. I want to make eventually something that feels like House of a Thousand Corpses. Watching that first film of Rob Zombie, it inspired me. It was his first time directing besides music videos, but his first feature film. It really inspired me. The comic bookiness, the wackiness, the colors. I want to do something like that. Currently, I'm writing and about to start directing Be Still. And I'm making this because of the movie Lights Out inspired me.
Yeah.
I love the creep factor. It was terrifying watching at night. So I want to make a Lights Out movie. So this is my stab at making a film like that.
Awesome. So it's like, you're not like, it's not one or two. Like, you're literally like, I want to move through, like, okay, this is inspired this, and then this is inspired that, rather than like, I know with some filmmakers, X movie got me interested in this stuff. Like, like I said, like, At the Mouth of Madness. There's a lot of John Carpenter stuff like that really got me to be interested in. Of course, I'm a little older, so my frames of reference for when I was growing up is like early 80s movies.
Yeah.
So that's the where I'm looking. I was like, In the Mouth of Madness, or The Thing, that type of the original Evil Deads with the campiness, but that type of stuff. The one thing that I found difficult is to come across stuff, and I'm not sure if you've found this yet, or if having that 80s retro love, and doing stuff in a post Cabin in the Woods world where they basically just deconstructed all of the old 80s stuff and laid it out. So, like, trying to come up with something in a world after Cabin in the Woods, I don't know. I found it interesting to try to navigate. It's like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, that could fall into that category in the thing,
Yeah, they really stretched the boundaries when they made that movie.
Do you think about that at all? Like, coming in, or do you just have the story you want to tell? And
that's a good question, but I just come in fresh and just want to tell the story I want to tell. I know in some cases I feel like I'm a rookie in the world of independent filmmaking. So I look forward to growing in the world of independent filmmaking. However, each story is going to be its own. And for example, when I think of Sam Raimi, I instantly think of Evil Dead, Army of Darkness.
Right.
But Sam Raimi's first film was It's Murder. I don't think anybody ever just thinks of It's Murder, his first feature film. and when I think of my first film, Experiment 53, I can almost see that someday being like It's Murder. Like, once I make hopefully some stuff that takes off, and I'll be known for whatever that is, and then they'll be like, oh, he did Experiment 53. Like, once they do some research or go to my website or whatever. So
Like,
That's
oh, this is his early stuff. Oh,
yeah. So I feel like I'm aware of the situation and I'm in my early phases, and someday somebody will find what I'm doing right now, which will be cool.
the see, that's one thing that I like when people are like, when I get, if something takes off and do whatever. Me, I just tend to like to make the movies that I want to make,
Yeah.
and like if I can keep doing that, and it's like people keep giving me money to do so,
Hmm.
and then that kind of for me validates like the vision that I had is like, oh, it would be cool if I could do X.
Yeah.
And I keep refining. It's like, okay, the very first short films that I was working on, I look back now and go, because I have grown like stylistically. Like, okay, I like muddy single shots, or dirty single shots. So like coming over somebody's shoulder or so you see them in the foreground and whatnot when we're doing dialogue. And I like certain flowing with certain stuff. Like if I can get somebody with a, here's my brain shutting off. If I get like a quick steady cam, like, okay, when they're walking through here, I just want like this shot either low about, here kind of looking up as they're walking through this space, or, however it fits cinematically in the scene. Like there's certain things that I found that as I'm going along, those are me finding my style. It's like, oh, I like that. We're going to have, like I want to try to do that here and whatnot. Have you found a style yet or found that you have a style yet?
I feel like my first two films were very guerrilla filmmaking, very unsteady shots and very not steady cams. So
I wish we could afford a steady cam rather than renting one.
So I look forward to my next movie exploring my filmmaking style. For example, being a grip on the set of Night Talkers, you may have heard of it.
I appreciate you guys coming out though, it helped us out a lot.
So watching your directing style and watching how your crew worked, I found inspiration from you guys. So I look forward to taking some of that to my set and seeing how that goes.
Oh, and by the way, in April we're going to be doing it again.
Let's do it.
More than welcome to come in for the third part of this movie.
Cool.
It's only going to take us 2 years this time to get this one out, rather than 6 years for Black Book. So, trying to dial it in.
Yeah. Hey, it's all worth it in the end. And
go ahead.
And fans are loving the Black Book. Sitting next to you guys at conventions, you guys have a line.
Yeah, that's all Chris.
It's all Chris.
That is. I hit it out the park when I hired an extrovert.
There you go.
To pretty much carnival bark at her table. So that's awesome. Where I thought about like making it more of a like when we do, if we can ever get to do the carnival stuff that I have, because that's our next book is the carnival.
Oh, cool.
If I can ever get into that, like I totally want to do like for the booth for that year, the whole freak show carnival thing, and see if Chris will actually dress up as a barker.
That'd be cool.
Get him sent outside, like, come on in.
That'd be awesome. I can see it now.
With like the tapestry stuff across the back and make it look like a sideshow.
It'd be very Devil's Carnival.
Yes.
I always thought Chris looks like what's his name, Ivan Moody from Five Finger Death Punch.
So you see it.
So yeah, very Devil's Carnival, and you have Chris front and center.
I was looking for somebody for because he'd worked with me before on my very first film. Like he did the sound, he helped with the sound and whatnot. Like he was the boom op for the sound guy, and he did some grip work and whatnot. And like transition was like, hey, I need a bum for this one thing. Do you think you can do that? And he was like, I said, I'm going to need like a headshot or something, like a picture or something, so I can send it to Don so he can approve the casting. And he like literally just got up. His hair was all a mess. When he just he took the picture and sent it over. And he goes, how's that? And I sent it to Don. And I go, here's our bum. He's like, oh, well, he looks the part. And that was like, I think it was his first time on camera.
That's awesome.
But he got to throw in some of his amateur pro wrestling stuff where he got smacked out of a chair and hit the concrete ground, and did a little bit of stunt work stuff there.
That's awesome.
But, we didn't. Nobody's supposed to. It's indie, so stunt work is stunt work, but it was also a SAG movie, so we didn't have somebody on set like a stunt coordinator. That's right. That's like $900 a day just for a stunt coordinator.
Yeah,
the SAG approved stunt coordinator.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Chris is awesome having on set, but he really pushes through the long night on our second movie, Rise of Experiment 53. The cast was starting to get tired, and we still had quite a few pages to get through. And Chris,
he's a good cheerleader. He's like, "Come on, guys, you can do it."
Yep.
But yeah, like I messaged him and said, "Hey, you want to do this convention?" And like when we were there, we were spitballing some stuff about like, it would be funny if like we handed out like cards or whatever, but on the back of them was a release saying that if you read the book, we're not responsible, yada yada yada. And he took that idea. He took that idea and then just spun it into his pitch, and like, boom, it was. We've been kicked out of several local places because people take that pitch a little too seriously.
Oh my gosh!
Are you trying to sell something that'll damn people's souls? Like
it's almost like the Blair Witch.
It's like it's a movie, or it's a book. Like they're literally talking about the book, and like it's just a book. I mean, I wrote it. I mean, I'm not like Lucifer himself or some creepy figure. Like it's literally short stories about this town. So I don't know, but it was funny. People doing that. What has been your reception with Rise and Experiment 53 and all that? Like how has people
it's been humbling
it so far?
It's definitely been humbling. Obviously before you release something as a creator, you're nervous how the world's going to accept it, or are they going to like it,
right?
And it's been awesome. After the first premiere of Experiment 53, friends, family, people we've never met was reaching out to us like, hey, I love the film. I can't wait for the next one. So that really pushed us through to get cranking on Rise of Experiment 53.
Right.
And I think the reception of that's been just as good. But what's been nice is people's not been afraid to give us that constructive criticism. They know we're beginning our journey in the independent filmmaking world. So obviously audio was a problem in the first film, some lighting. So each film whatever people tell us, we'll fix it on the next one.
Oh yeah, and that's the way to go. I mean, we have audio issues, and it tends to be we can never get the people we want. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so like I feel you on the having the audio quality isn't the greatest in this spot, or there's problems here or there's problems there, and that's why our sets work the way we do. I mean, I've been doing since 2014, and we're slowly refining everything to that level that you saw, where it was almost like a choreographed thing. I was over here talking to the crew or the cast. Don was talking to the crew. People were moving around. The DP was doing what the DP, telling the grips and whatnot where to put the things that he needs, and everything. I still come from the AD line of thinking, though, like, we only have 5 minutes to get this set up. We need you. What is your ETA?
Yeah.
So.
I would love to just shadow an actual movie set, like on shadowing your guys' movie set was awesome. I would love to be a fly on the wall for like a James Wan film, just to see how they do it and see.
One of the things that I found, because when I went down to Louisiana, and I was on set for that Hugh Jackman movie, Reminiscence. I was actually
that is awesome.
I was an extra, just standing in the rain, or as they're like pumping rain down, with a sign yelling and whatnot. I did several days on that. I did several days on the Black Box, which is one of the Blumhouse movies on Amazon. I was on. In fact, like, there's a scene where there's on the TV, the guy's looking at. There's Felicia Rashad giving a lecture or whatever to a bunch of doctors, and if you just pause it, my face is like right there in the crowd, like.
That's awesome.
But like spending time on that, and I did several days on that. I did several days on Filthy Rich, the Kim Cattrall thing that was set down there that got canceled after the first season. So like watching how those flow, like has really patterned how I try to keep things moving. If we had the ability to have that much crew, it would be fantastic. But if we had the money for that much crew, I would put that probably into like actors and
good call.
Getting cool locations. So like, I liked the idea of having 100 and some odd people on set. Like this. I like that. The concept, but in practice, I tend to like small.
I agree. It almost sounds scary just thinking of 100 people on the set.
Oh yeah,
it's a lot to control,
especially when you're looking at catering and whatnot. Because which one was it that was like uber fantastic? The NCIS New Orleans. I did an episode of that, and it was where he's like, it's a dream thing where he's running through a street fair. And people are dancing and all the stuff, the music's playing, and he's just kind of chasing somebody, and he gets lost in the music, and then he sees them again and takes off running. That whole setup, like when we broke and went back to eat, it was almost like an airplane hangar with 2 buffet lines that were freaking almost 50 foot long on each side. And that's what I found. Shut up, my watch. So like everything is just the scale of the crafty and whatnot was huge. I always remember that. I remember that one because they had paid different companies to come in and set up like they would for a street fair. And one of them was the Caveman's Kitchen or something like that. And they had like all food that was nothing but like anti-allergy food. And I was able to sit there and eat so like after we ate and filled up at the thing, we're sitting there cold, holding like warm bowls of food and just eating in between takes. It was, and, of course, Scott Bakula came out and was like, thank you for being here on this cold day. he's running around in just a shirt. We're all in jackets, and he's just like in shirt, like doing the scene, and then immediately stops, throws on a coat, and I go as they set it for the next take. So it was. And he's like, "Thank you for putting up with it. We didn't think it would be this cold when it was scheduled. Yada yada yada." So like it was pretty cool.
That is awesome that you got to experience that.
And Hugh Jackman is taller than you think.
He'd be a cool guy to meet in person. He seems down to earth.
He was pretty. He joked with us. That was,
that's cool. That's cool.
He walked by whatever, and like as the rain's falling, he was like, but you didn't think it would be this wet out here. And I was, we're like, oh well, and he just BS.
That's cool. That's cool.
So yeah, it was fun, but so we're going to be looking at a trailer.
Cool.
And if you would like to set up this trailer, and like, what are we going to be seeing?
Cool. So this trailer is for my upcoming film, Be Still. The score is by Chris Ball. He did some music in Experiment 53. He did all the score sounds in Rise of Experiment 53. So he's back to give us an unnerving, scary, atmospheric sounds in this new film. Nice. So as I grow as a filmmaker, he's growing he's been in the music business for a while, but he loves all these challenges I keep throwing his way for different projects. This is Be Still. Hope you like it.
All right, so that was Be Still. So is there anything you could tell us about, like, give us like a sneak peek of what's coming up with this new movie?
Absolutely. So at the very end of that trailer, you got a little tease of what the creature's going to look like. I'm going for a very a shadowy creature, very big. Mm-hmm. Chloe Grass is back with me to help create this creature. And
she's awesome. Like,
Chloe Grass is phenomenal.
Yeah, we used her for the Night Talkers thing that you were with us on, and I found her from you guys. So
that's the beauty of independent filmmaking, making connections, and so yeah, I have the hand. She created 2 hands for me, but I have one with me here. It's a very large. It's 4 feet long. It's the entire arm, and the beauty of it, when I told her I want the fingers to actually move, she made a contraption where the people off screen can pull these fingers and the fingers will move, the hands will move, the wrist will move. So I look forward to putting this into full effect in the film. I imagine scenes where the closet door opens and the hand just reaching around. So yeah,
just smacking people with it on set.
Yeah, just smacking them, having fun, laying the smack down.
How did you get in touch with Chloe?
It was our first convention, and she was there walking around. She came up to our table, and she handed me her business card. She told me, she was like, I went to college. Where she went to college was over in England somewhere, I believe. And she said, if you're interested in using my work, check out my stuff online. I did. I was stunned. I was like, holy smokes, we have to get this girl. So I messaged her like half an hour later. I was like, I know you're still at the convention looking around, but
this is what we were wanting to do.
I was like, you're in. I need you. Let's talk. Let's talk money. Let's talk ideas. She's like, let's talk ideas. We'll talk money later. So she was super down to earth, and she was awesome to work with.
Yeah, that was one of the things, because I was like, hey, this is what I was talking, like Chris brought up your name, and you worked with these guys. They're going to be, like they're going to be on our set, helping us out, yada 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 yada. Because she was like, oh, that's awesome, and talked about what we were wanting, and then pretty much left it up to me to say, like, okay, well, this is what we were thinking, pay wise. We were going to do this, we're going to do this, yada yada yada. And she was like, no, that's awesome.
There you go.
Okay. I was expecting, like, oh, well, no. Can you bump up the pay a little bit, or can you bump up the travel a little bit? But
yeah,
because I think between her working with you and her working with us, like, she had moved to Atlanta.
Yeah.
So there was a whole nother, like, so it was a little bit further. But we wanted to make sure everything was covered. We had somebody coming. We had Jason Crow coming from Louisville, and we had Chloe coming from Georgia, and then we had, it was interesting, like all over Indiana. Have you spread out like that yet, or are you planning to do with this next one, having people travel into?
This next one's pretty local. My script editor, he is from Chicago, so I want him on set. I think it'd be cool for him to actually see the process, and this is the film you helped write, so be there on the set helping guide us. I think that'd be awesome. And I know Chloe's not going to be on set this time, but she sent these. Well, she didn't send them. Right. She actually hand delivered them. She was up in Indiana for the holidays. So nice. So how perfect. She just drove them to me. So,
oh, here, since I was on my way anyway. Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. Like, cause like with us, like she took the time. She was like, well, I took off, all of this time for stuff. So I'm just going to go home and hang out with the family or whatever, then go back. Like, so it gave her an excuse, basically paid her to go home and hang out with her family and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then drive back. And so that was, are you like, so do you have everything cast already for this?
We are 99% casted. So far, it's all local, which is very nice. It'll be every day when we wrap, everybody will be close to home and call it a day. So we just have some final details we're figuring out here.
Do you have a hard time, like, because we have done a lot of stuff that's serial in nature, like we're filming this part, we're filming this part, we're filming this part. Basically because of budget, like getting the money in to cover basically sections at a time. Do you ever, like, have you gotten to the point where like you're running out of new faces to put in yet, or do you keep finding?
I haven't experienced that yet, but I do fear that's going to come down the road someday. What's nice is this film, it's going to have a couple returning faces. However, the two main kids in Be Still are the two kids at the very beginning of Rise of Experiment 53, Ethan and Elliot. So that scene was only about 4 minutes long. So now they get a whole feature to be in the film. So to me, nice. they are fresh faces. And the mother of the film is actually Ethan and Elliot's mom in real life. So that
makes it easier.
Yeah. So it's going to add, they already have that connection. So they'll be able to play off of each other, and they won't be having to pretend that's mom because that's really mom. So that'd be cool. Right. Yeah.
And how old are they?
I think 9 and 11. I might be off a year, but I believe that's what she said.
See, that makes it. They can steal the show.
They could.
If you, because that's what people are like. I don't want to act with kids or animals because like what I do isn't going to. Either they're going to steal this show or they're going to make it a living nightmare.
So some feedback I had for Rise of Experiment 53 was, I heard this on multiple occasions, that what was your favorite scene? What'd you like? They was like, I love the kids beginning. That first 4 minutes was awesome. And then there's a end credit scene with my kids where they're trick-or-treating, and it kind of leads into the next film.
Mm-hmm.
They said they loved the first 3 minutes and they loved the end credit scene. I was like, so you love the kids parts?
Yeah.
They was like, they stole the show. So I was like, my next movie's got kids in it.
So you start out strong and you ended strong. So I mean, there you go.
Yeah.
We always found like it's hard to cast like some of the kid roles, especially when we were in Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
It was written for like a 9-year-old.
Gotcha.
And the only person that we were able to actually cast for that would be able to deliver the lines and all that stuff was a 14-year-old. So we had to adjust the flow of things a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me started on the rewrites that happened while I had COVID. So we had somebody come in and literally rewrite the whole premise of that section. And because they didn't, well, we're not really into horror. And I don't want this, I don't want the actress to really feel like we're in a horror movie. And so it was like an after school special. my kid was picked on at school and they're going through a divorce and all of this stuff, like the cliche stuff. I was just like, all right, whatever. I am too weak. I literally just stopped testing positive. Like 3 days before like everybody showed up to film. So I'm like still doing the like dead, like just fatigue and exhausted, trying to get through the thing sitting there.
Yeah.
It was a slog to get, then like a cinematographer bailed on me.
Oh no.
So I had to shoot it and be
yeah.
So yeah, it was an interesting time. Who does your shooting? Are you the shooter as well as the director, or have you hired that out yet?
Currently, it's just me. So I look forward to the future. When I was on your set, it was awesome that you got to be the director. You got to be the one sitting in the chair with a monitor in front of you as someone else was doing the shooting responsibilities. Mm-hmm. Right now, it's just me, myself, and I, and helping hands here and there. You know what I mean? So
yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. If you're doing everything yourself, there's a lot that's in your head. Like you're like, but if once you get the chance to step out and have a DP,
yep,
it frees you up so much. You just tell them this is what I want it to look like. And you worry about the actors while they're setting it up, and it's like, oh well, no, I don't like this. You look at it like, can you change this a little? Like move this over here, yada yada yada, and then like it frees you up so much to get stuff.
Yeah. So with Experiment 53 and Rise of Experiment 53, we cranked those out pretty quick. The nice thing,
you did. Like you did an entire feature film in like 3 days. Yeah.
So the beauty of Be Still is I'm going to be filming it over 4 months. So I've experienced making a movie in 3 days. So I feel like 4 months is going to be an eternity, and I can focus more on the fine details this time.
Oh yeah.
So less mistakes. So that's the goal. We'll see what happens.
I was like I said, when it was like, oh well, we're shooting yada yada yada. Okay, it's wrapped. It's done. I was like, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Like,
yeah.
We try to get in. Like, we're happy if we hit 6-7 pages a day.
Yeah.
And you like burn through that whole thing. You're like, oh yeah, we did 30 pages in a day. I was like, Holy crap.
So never again will I do that. That was definitely a learning experience.
It was definitely something that like, I was just like in shock. Don was like, can we do that much? And I was like, no.
But it was also a time thing. We had rented a facility and we only had it for a certain amount of time. So he's like,
Yeah.
if I don't want to fork over another $700, we got to get through these pages.
So speaking of like, how are you funding your stuff?
It's all me right now. So
Ooh.
just setting back this and that.
So you have to have that good radio money. And
yeah. So just during paychecks, I'll just set this X amount to the side and it keeps building up and then it's movie time.
that's pretty cool. Have you thought about doing it like supplementing with like an Indiegogo or?
I have. I was actually really tempted to do it with Be Still. I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet, but I'm tempted. I see like certain films on there that exceed the amount they even wanted. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Right, and then there's some films that we never had the success.
Mm-hmm.
Indiegogo had an Indiegogo campaign for the comic book.
Yep.
And that literally covered the shipping for the comic book.
Oh no.
So like everybody was able to get their stuff and we had everybody was happy, whatever, but we only made we were looking for $2,000. We made like $250.
Oh man.
So okay, that covered the cover art and the shipping for all of this stuff. The movie stuff, like we put it out there and not getting any interest and whatnot. Like we'll put some money in to show that, hey, it's not a dead thing. And then like that gets refunded back to us at the end of the thing because like nobody's. So we're hoping that we're going to fundraise for the bigger talent that, if we can get them signed, then we should be able to fundraise for off of that name.
Yeah, I think those big names definitely help those campaigns.
Oh yeah. But I didn't know if because we're currently when we fund in like blocks at a time. Mm-hmm. What's the biggest budget you've worked with?
So for Rise of Experiment 53, beginning to end, so that's all the way from the writing stage all the way to distribution stage, I had about 4,000 wrapped into it.
Oh, that's not bad.
So that's not too bad.
I feel weird because that's what we spent just on that. That's more than we spent on that, or that's less than what we spent on that section.
Yeah,
we did Black Book for around under 15.
Okay.
Total. We're already there and we're only halfway through Night Talkers.
Right.
So we're slowly increasing the budgets and whatnot, but
right.
It's just interesting. It's like I'm sure there's a lot of people that you can call on and say, hey, can you help me out? I need somebody to do this, yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were able to do that in the beginning, like, hey, we don't have a whole lot of budget. Can you help us out? And then people come out and help and all that. But now people are like, I got stuff to do. Can you throw me some money? The DPs that we were normally working with came back and said, you've been paying us the same thing for the last 6 years. Is there any way that we can negotiate a raise? And when we realized that, we're like, oh yeah, no problem. We didn't realize that so now our DP budget went from down here to up here because now we're having to pay more, and it's the stuff like that if I didn't have to pay anybody, we could do a whole lot more cooler stuff. But we pay everybody. That's been our thing.
Yeah.
It might not be what you're worth, but we try to get you what we can.
Yeah. And the food you guys provided, that was, my gosh, that was delicious. And so this is a payment in itself.
We tend to not do the quintessential, cause I think we talked to when I talked to Crow, he's talked about like eating Caesar or like Little Caesars pizzas or Noble Roman's pizza and this, that, and the other, like on every set because it was just easy and cheap and whatnot. And I was like, we've tried to refrain from ordering the pizza or going to Subway and just having a big massive order at Subway or whatever, like actually calling places and say ahead of time and say, okay, this is how many people we're going to have, yada, yada, yada. And trying to get them to do that. Partnering with local businesses makes it great. You're like, yeah, well, if you give us a discount, we'll put you in the, we'll talk about you, yada, yada, and we'll put this out. And you tend to find a lot of people are like, oh, well, hey, that's pretty cool, and we'll work with you. That's how you get a lot of stuff for free in this.
That's what we did with the
cool.
Yeah.
And say, well, if you could do this, it'd be awesome. It's for a small independent movie. We're trying to do this. We don't have a whole lot of money. Is there any way that we can like barter something back and forth? And if you're dealing with like a mom and pop shop or a smaller business, there's a greater chance for them to be like, oh, well, no, that would be cool if you just put us in the or put us in the credits or I traded a commercial for some stuff once.
That's awesome.
Like I shot their commercial and then edited it and gave it to them, and they gave us a bunch of free shit.
There you go. Sometimes that's what you got to do in the independent community. Just trade work.
Oh yeah. So like you said, distribution on that. Well, how are you distributing right now?
So the funny thing is, with my Blu-rays, DVDs, I have a burner in my movie room. So say someone says, hey, I want to buy a Blu-ray, I want to buy a DVD. I go set up my computer and I burn the discs. So I look forward to definitely growing in that field. I definitely want a website where people can just click DVD, Blu-ray, VHS, and it'll get shipped right to them. So currently, if someone says, hey, I want a DVD, I'll go burn it. I ship it. I do all that. So it's a long process. And with it being my home burner, there's been a couple situations where like, hey, this disc isn't working. So I have to
no, I hate those when you're like, because that's how we started. So it's like, I'll burn a copy for a festival. Mm-hmm. And they're like, it doesn't work. I'm like, crap, I'm already here at the festival. Like, you didn't test it? And they're like, oh, it didn't work, or this, it doesn't work with this setup that we have. It worked at home, but it doesn't work with this setup. So we end up having like to stream it from online to the festival, and that tended to be a pain in the ass.
It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. But when it works, it works. I just hate those messages when they're like, hey, this ain't working on my player.
Like, what region did you burn this to? And it's like, what region did I burn that to? Like, can we like get just standardized regionalist DVD players?
That's what the world needs.
But no, like, especially like, oh, you did it in PAL instead of NTSC.
Yeah.
It's all the little technical stuff.
Yeah.
We showed in theaters and literally had to be walked through how to make a DCP file.
Oh man, I bet that's detailed.
But we got it done. It turned like a 4 gig movie into 110 gigs.
Holy smokes.
And then they played it through the theater. And everything looked great. It looked fantastic. So
that's good.
Just putting it out there. We'll talk later about the website and helping you with the distribution stuff. But anybody out there, I do that stuff. So rather than reforging the stone or reinventing the wheel. Just get a hold of me. It's what I do. I don't get to use it very often.
So yeah, we chatted pre-show. I'm definitely going to be getting in touch with you to create me Thomas Peake Films website.
Well, it will be up as soon as we probably up before this airs. For those who don't like to break the veil of all of this stuff, like we record these ahead of time because I suck at being live, and I spent 12 years being live. Like we still do GPR live, but I suck at it, and so this allows me to edit. So when you're watching this, like we actually got together like a couple weeks ago. This is actually recording right before the Jason Crow episode will air. A little behind the scenes.
That's cool.
So
this is us from the future.
Yes. But is there anything else you would like to touch on before we say our adieus?
So yeah, be on the lookout for a website. Not sure what the domain's going to be yet. Something around Thomas Peake Films. Currently, you can find Thomas Peake on Facebook and on Instagram. I am Tommy.zombie. Send me a message and I'll get back to you pretty quick.
Awesome. I'm going to put all that information in the description as well. So if your fingers aren't fast enough, then you can just click the links in the description, and they will get, it'll take you right there.
Cool.
And if we have the website by then, the domain will be there too. So I'm Topher, the Paranormal Hobo. That's Thomas.
It's been awesome.
Thank you for being on the crypt, and we will see you next time.